Looks like we are live. For those that are familiar with our podcast, we are doing some new technology as far as streaming goes and some cameras. We got a bunch of new things. So if you notice anything out of the ordinary, please let us know in the comment section. We'll be watching that. But today we got a great episode. We're going to be talking with Craig Page and Cullen Haymon?
Yeah.
Okay. With Optimized Generator People. We're going to be talking with them about the failing power grid, because that is a big issue that we're starting to see. We're going to be talking about backup power sources for your home and all that jazz. We're going to be talking about solutions, how to protect your home from outages. Their website is Optimize EGS. They do happen to be our studio sponsor. So there you see the graphic. If you're watching live, there's their logo. And again, their website is optimizeegs.com. And yeah, so sit back, enjoy the show, and yeah. All right. So before we get started with the episode, we also have our presenting sponsor, Chase Group Construction. They take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. Why is this changing? There you go. I got a technology glitch. Anyway, Chase Group Construction is a design build firm. They build tons of new businesses. They renovate businesses. They are like I said, a design build firm. I am flustered right now because I have new technology, guys, and it's rocking my world. So they're a local company. You should support them. ChaseGroupConstruction.com. We're going to get through this. Okay. With that, welcome to the episode, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So Craig, pull the mic a little closer to you. There we go. This is an interesting setup that I have here today, and it looks like it's rolling. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys introduce yourself. Craig, if you want to go first, just tell us a little bit about you, and we'll get into Optimize a little bit after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Craig Page. I'm one of the partners here with Optimize. We started the company back in 2010 and have grown a lot since then. And so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so 2010 you said, right?
Yeah, 2010
Nice.
is when we started Optimize. Correct.
Okay.
And so came to the Lafayette market in 2019.
Okay, so pretty recent, yeah.
And, it's been about 5 years now.
Yeah.
So, Cullen actually lives here in Lafayette, and one of my sons that works with us lives in Scott, and so we consider ourselves local.
Nice. All right, Cullen, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about you.
Yeah, I'm Cullen Haymon. I am the sales guy pretty much for this area, and been with the company for almost 3 years now, and been enjoying it and been able to. It's actually been surprisingly fun to help people with the solutions that we offer.
You said surprisingly fun.
It was not my first pick, but I was asked to do this job, and then I got into it, and I was like, oh, I really like doing this. So it worked out.
Yeah. All right. So what is Optimize? Obviously, you guys are the generator people. So tell us a little bit about Optimize and what you guys do.
Yeah. So Optimize, we're actually Louisiana's largest Generac home standby generator dealer. And so what we do is we design, we sell, we install, we service, we maintenance your home standby generator. And so we're the absolute experts when it comes to knowing all the ins and outs about residential home standby generators.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's pretty short and sweet there.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's my elevator pitch.
Yeah. So you guys came to Lafayette as far as the Lafayette office in 2019. What made you want to start the company back in 2010?
Yeah, so I'm an electrician by trade.
Okay.
And so I had a small electrical company that I had started back in 2003, maybe. I live in the Baton Rouge area, and so we were doing residential, house wiring, small commercial jobs, and that business was just, man, you can find an electrician everywhere you turn around. There's another electrician hopping in, and it's a very competitive market. And at the time, I wanted to try to find something to do that was more of a niche and that would kind of make me a little bit different than everyone else. And solar was getting really, really popular. And so I was just having a hard time really getting it off the ground. The state had adopted some really good tax incentives. There was a 50% refundable tax credit that was coupled with a 30% federal tax credit. And then the net metering laws that were in place just made it a great environment to do solar. And so I had put my focus there, but was really, really struggling. And so just getting sales, right?
Yeah.
And so I went on a church fishing trip, and my business partner now was there, and he was actually my kid's Sunday school teacher, and so
really
we got to chatting. Hadn't seen each other in a little while, but we got to chatting, and I was telling him what I was doing, and he was in the market for solar, and so he was very successful at a previous business and was doing some consulting at the time, and so I said, look, I need to sit down with you. And so I did. And I thought I was going in there to sell them solar, and which I did. But at the end of the whole deal, we ended up deciding, like, look, we need to go into business together and do this.
Yeah.
And so long story short, we shut down the old business, started Optimize as a solar company. Went and tried to figure it out. We did figure it out. Became really successful at doing that. But what we kept finding was, as we would provide the solar solution for customers, they kept wanting this backup. They wanted backup power. And so, I don't know how much you know about solar, but I know a little bit. Yeah, most solar is grid tied, right? So it works when the sun's out and when your energy, your utility power is present. But when the power goes out, doesn't matter how many solar panels you have on your roof, your power's out. And so we became a Generac dealer in 2014, just to be able to offer a more secure, stable source of backup power to couple with the solar. And so shortly after that, 2015, the state decided to change the tax incentive structure, and they also the Public Service Commission went in and changed the laws regarding to net metering. And so it made it to where solar just wasn't really a good environment for the consumer anymore. And so we were faced with a tough choice, because we were rolling, we were doing really, really good, but we had some great foundational principles. And I remember Matthew, we were standing in the shop one day, and he's like, "Look, what do we want to do?
Right?
What are we going to do here? We need to pivot." And we decided that we're going to go ahead and go all in on generators. We were good at it. We still had some learning to do, but just as an organization, foundationally, we had a really good foundation to build upon. And so we essentially started over in 2016 with just doing home standby generators, and quickly gained traction. By the end of 2017, we had become a Power Pro Premier dealer, which is kind of the highest echelon that you could reach within the Generac organization. And fast forward today, we have 4 locations that are all Power Pro Premier dealers, and we just got an award from Generac nationally. We're in the top 5 largest Generac dealers in North America.
Wow!
And so we've done all that here in our home community, and so
congrats on that. By the way, I want to go back to the the solar talk for a second, because you mentioned that solar, once your power is out, like the grid is out, your power is out. Now, I was under the impression that when you have solar, you have a battery system backup in your house that it charges all day or when the sun is out. And then when your power does go out, you have some power. Is that...
That is a type of solar.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's several different types of configurations that can be sold, right? And so your traditional solar is just grid tied. It consists of solar panels, which create DC power when the sun hits them.
Yeah.
That is wired into an inverter that converts the DC to AC, and then that's essentially just paralleled right into your home's electrical system. And so it provides supplemental power so that while the grid is on, it kind of matches, the sine waves and everything. And while the grid is on, it saves, instead of, you'll basically use the electricity
from solar
created
first.
from solar first. And so that will decrease your electric bill. And then anything extra, so if it's a nice, pretty sunny day, cool temperatures, and let's say you're at work and this solar array is just pumping, you will take that energy will come into your home and literally go back to the grid. And so that's what net metering is there are laws in place and relationships that the utility company has with you that says, as the consumer, that says that they will basically take that energy that you're sending them back and they will credit you on your electric bill. And so back when we got started, it was dollar for dollar. So if they charged you 10 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity, then anything you sent back was credited at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. If it went up to 25 cents, it's 25 cents. So it was very easy for us to go in at that point in time and calculate what your production would be. And then whether you consumed it or you sent it back, it didn't matter. You received 100% of those savings. And so that was really good for the consumer.
So is it not like that today? You don't get dollar for dollar?
Absolutely not like that
No,
today.
come on.
And so it's why we backed out of it, because I couldn't honestly sit with a homeowner and say, look, I can tell you about what your system will produce in electricity. That math is fairly straightforward. I cannot tell you where that electricity is going to go. And so if that electricity goes in your home and you use it, then yes, you realize 100% of those savings at that moment. But if you send it back to the grid, if they're charging you 10 cents a kilowatt hour, I think you get about 3 cents in credit.
Jeez, that's nothing.
And so it is. And so, be cautious out there. There's a lot of businesses, and I don't think the salespeople are trying to be malicious. I just think that they may be a little uneducated. I don't know that their companies are teaching them properly, and so they go out there and they're knocking on doors. They're selling solar, and they're in the language they're using. It's the same exact language we used back, when we got started in 2010, through 2015, and it's just false.
Yeah, I mean, because as a kid, I've been relatively obsessed with the solar technology and just how it works, because there were, I was probably, 8, 9, 10 years old, give or take. And I don't know if you remember, it wasn't Lego. It was like another company called Connex.
Yeah.
And they had a solar powered edition, and it had this little solar panel, and it would produce maybe like a AA battery's worth of energy to a little motor. And anytime you brought it outside, the motor would start turning, and so anything you created with that Connex would just run. And so I was fascinated with it. And every time I would see a house with solar panels on it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, it looked cool, and it still does look cool. It's like sometimes if they're done right, they look great.
No, the principles are fantastic, right? And so for me, I'm a nerd, and so it was just right up my alley. Solar is super cool. It uses all the basics of electricity. It can do some really, really cool things. But it's the most political business I'd ever been in my entire life. It's
political. That is crazy.
Anytime you're dealing with tax incentives, right? Anytime you're dealing with utilities, it can become political. And so that's what happened. They ended up killing the tax credits and changing the net metering. The utility companies, they don't want to be crediting you at the same rate that they charge you, and so they they had all that changed. But to finish answering your original question, that's grid tied solar. The other way, and because of the change in the net metering laws, a lot of companies are now going, look, we understand that the electricity you send back to the grid is not as valuable, so we can sell you a battery so that you can now take that solar power, and use it in your home, right? And then instead of sending it to the grid, just fill your battery, right? And then you could discharge that at night or at a different time of when you need it. And that does provide an interesting solution, but batteries are very, very expensive. And they're limited in capacity. And
so, I mean, you can't run. I mean, theoretically, you should be able to run your whole house, but probably not for very long.
No, you get, I mean, they're like 14, I think it's like 14 kW or something like kilowatt hours in like a power wall. And so basically what you're doing is you're able to run some lights, a refrigerator, we call it selective loads, right?
So not your AC unit.
Certainly not your AC. Not for very long. If you
see, that's the thing, man. You want that,
right? And so for the price point, for the price point of one battery that's going to give you limited amount of power, we realized very quickly that we could install a home standby generator that'll power everything for as long as you need it to, right? You got to shut it down after a couple hours and check the oil level. But I mean, when you're out of power for 2 weeks after a major hurricane, those batteries are kaput. Whereas a home standby generator, you're just rocking and rolling. And so it was a very easy decision for us to pivot. And like I said, seeing the demand that so many customers really wanted that backup power, it was easy for us to know that, look, the generators are what we need to be doing. And to be quite frank, just no one was doing it at the level. Just the quality of work we saw that was out there just didn't compare, And so the way we ended up coming to Lafayette was because our main office was in Baton Rouge. And so we had a deal with Lowe's. Lowe's reached out to us and said, hey, look, we need an installer. We're selling a lot of...
So Lowe's, like the company Lowe's reached out to you?
Yeah. So a lot of these, I mean, it's kind of the bad thing about Generac is that you can order them online. You can go to Lowe's, you go to Home Depot, you can buy them.
Anywhere pretty much.
Yeah. You can acquire a Generac generator fairly easy. But the real work is getting thing installed,
and the permitting.
Absolutely. And even doing it correctly. I mean, there's a very highly engineered, complicated piece of machinery.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it on the outside. And that's the beauty of it. It looks very simple and nice on the outside. Right.
I mean, it's an engine. It emits carbon monoxide, which is dangerous. It is fueled from natural gas or propane, which is highly dangerous, and it ties into your electrical system. And so our team are dealing with the two most dangerous systems that are in your home, right? And so it's like, I don't know that you want Uncle Joe messing with that. It's, and listen, we do live in a place where we've got a lot of people that work in plants, that work in industry that are, that maybe even are commercial electricians or industrial electricians
that may know how to do something. Handle,
because electrically it's not that complicated. But man, there are a lot of codes and it's different, an industrial electrician is not the same skill set as a commercial electrician or even as a residential. And so our guys from the very beginning have been trained to do home standby generators.
Got it.
And because of the volume that we have been able to do, we figured a lot out. And so, if you're doing 100 generators a year, then, you're going to have 100 situations to learn from. But when you're doing, 1,300, 1,500 a year, you learn a lot quicker.
Well, I want to find a stopping point real quick to get my next sponsor in, and then we can definitely talk until our heart's content until the end here. So I think I figured out my technological glitch here, but for sake of keeping everything rolling the way it should be, our next sponsor is Music Academy of Acadiana. They are Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. So if you are a young person, or if you're an old fart and you're interested in music, you're definitely going to check them out. They're, like I said, Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. They teach all styles. So if you want to learn any stringed instrument, if you want to beat on some drums, or if you want to work behind the scenes, BTS style, they teach audio production. They have an in-house recording studio that is award-winning. It's a separate business, but still in the same business under the same roof. So they have about 500 or so students, probably more now, that are there every month. Tons of great educational instructors. They've even appeared on, or have had their students appear on American Idol and The Voice. So great nationally recognized company. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com. Be sure to check them out. All right. And with that, let's get back to the episode. Okay, so I kind of want to go back just a little bit with some stuff that we were talking about as far as solar, and then how it relates to whole home generators, because I think when people are listening, because when you drive by a house, unless you're like an avid person who looks and knows what to look for, you probably may not see a generator. Ideally, you don't want to see it. You want to, it's on the side of your house or wherever it's placed at. But solar panels are not hard to hide.
Right.
I mean, they are hard to hide. Sorry. Right. They're on your roof. And if you have a lot of them, and if you have enough to power your house and give you a quote unquote power discount, you're going to see them. So when people are driving by, the solar panels are almost in a way selling themselves. It's like, hey, we have solar panels on our house. You should probably look at solar panels too. And so I know with you being in the solar panel business or the solar powered business, I guess I have a couple of questions. Should people opt to not do solar power at all? Or is it something that if that person is affluent enough to afford it, do solar and do a whole home generator? Like whenever you guys go out and give your elevator pitch,
sure,
how do you educate people on the different things? So I'm pretty sure you've had people say, well, what about solar power?
Well, yes, a lot of people ask about solar because, like you said, you can tell when your neighbor has solar panels.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, the short answer is no, they're not comparable, right? Solar is not a good investment at this moment.
It used to be.
It used to be.
Yeah.
And so as a company, we shy away from it. So Generac actually has some of the best solar technology out there as well. And so,
really?
And so, yeah.
I didn't realize that Generac was in solar.
Yeah, they kind of got behind it, right, and bought some very high powered battery technology.
Okay.
They've got some new technology rolling out this year. But every time I look at this from a financial standpoint, right? People buy things for different reasons.
Yeah.
But when we look at it, we want to provide a valuable solution for our customer. And so when we look at the options on the solar side of things, they just don't carry the value, in our opinion. And so, we could sell it and make money, but that's not, that's just not why we're in business. We're in business to provide valuable solutions for our customers. And so we don't even look at them as being competitive technology. And so, like I said, customers they buy things for different reasons, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, for us, we like I said, we lead by a set of commandments. These were created when we founded the company in 2010, and we lead by those.
Are there 10 commandments?
There's 11. We're not as good as God.
All right.
But I mean, we carry these things with us.
Okay, yeah. I'm curious to see what are some of the 10 the 11 commandments.
Yeah, and so we carry our commandment cards, and so number one is the job site is church, right?
Okay.
And so and a lot of these are tongue in cheek.
What does that mean? The job site is church.
Sure. So I mean, you go to church.
Yeah,
that's a place of reverence. It's
yeah.
a place of respect, and so when we go into a customer's home, we're going to treat it like we're at church. We're not cussing and playing around and goofing off, and I mean, we're there for a serious reason.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of our mantra there.
Okay.
And so the extras are job security. Safety is everyone's responsibility. Beautiful is the standard. The truth makes us win. The work is teamwork. Our customers are our long-term friends. 50 years strong, no surprises. Profit and consumer value coexist, and repairs are priority. And so when I look at things like the truth makes us win, I can't sell you solar and be completely truthful about about your savings and all that kind of stuff, and still be able to sell it. I can't make the sale if I'm being truthful.
Yeah. That card. Do you have it so I can look at it?
Yeah, you can have a copy.
Okay. So I can have this copy.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. I have a copy of the 10 Commandments. I guess I should have a copy of this. So a lot of these are what businesses should strive for, typically.
Yeah, a lot of people have core values, or like a mission statement,
But not every business lives by these. I can tell you that right now. There's a lot that, like the no surprises part. I can name off a few businesses. I'm not going to do that because this is not the Shade channel. But when you get into their business and you become a customer, there are times where you're like, hey, I thought I was expected to pay this, but all of a sudden, a year later, 2 years later, he's like, hey, we said this, but if you read the asterisk, the fine print, right, it said after a year or two, this is what your rate will be. Right. And it's like, well, that sucks because now I'm locked in with a contract, and I mean, what am I going to do now?
Right. Well, I mean, and so from these, and I'll speak more about these in a minute, but from these are born our differentiators that make us different. When a customer is looking like, do I need to buy a generator from Optimize? Do I need to buy it from somewhere else? One of the key differentiators that we have is that we have a price guarantee. There's no hidden nothing. The price is the price. Very straightforward pricing. And so we're gonna look at your job. We're going to calculate all of the work required to do your job, and then Cullen's going to give you a price. Yep. And that's going to be your price. And if Cullen missed something, then it's still your price.
Yeah, you guys eat it.
We're going to eat it. We're going to do what we have to do to make sure, because I mean, Cullen's smart. He knows what he's doing. He is human. So we can make mistakes. Yeah. But it's not the customer's fault if we make a mistake. And
I can also speak on that with another part of our commandments with the no surprises is that most of the time, yes, I am able to quote it right then and there because I know what's needed. Every once in a while, very blue moon, we'll have one that I don't know much more on. But at that point, I'm being very truthful with the customer. I'm not just trying to sell it to do it. I want to be honest with them, like, hey, I need my engineer to look at this so that way we can understand the true scope of this job. Yeah. And that way we're honest with the customer, we're straightforward with them, and there is no surprises.
Okay. So and I know we'll get to some more of the differentiators, but I just want to show you guys something that I got in the mail yesterday.
Nice.
I got a
coupon.
Yeah, I got one of the Val packs, and I checked the Val packs because the Val pack on the cover says there might be $100 check in the Val pack, and so I, for the life of me, cannot let that valve pack go in the trash without checking to see if there's $100 check in it. Because if I throw it away, I'm going to be so mad and like, oh, okay. So looking at this this little coupon here, so the 22 kilowatt Generac through you guys right here is $12,575, and kind of going back to the install process and what all that entails, because you can buy something, but sometimes they don't tell you, oh, this is how much it is to install it. Oh, we got to do, a concrete pad, and we didn't quote all this out. So for $12,575, you guys include normal installation, the generator, the ATS. What is ATS?
Automatic transfer switch.
There you go. Cool. Taxes, the battery, surge suppressor, a 4-inch concrete pad, the permitting, because a lot of people probably don't even think about permitting, and you have the labor and above ground gas piping up to 20 feet, and normal electrical and wiring up to 60 feet.
Yeah.
And then also it says right here, price quote guarantee. I want to say, was it? Oh yeah, a $600 down payment to start, and obviously there's a monthly thing, so it's financed. What it looks like on here, 88 months at $189 a month. Let me tell you,
if you were to choose that financing option, correct?
Yeah, okay. So I'm glad that you guys said that, because if there's multiple options, that's good for people to know. And then on the back, it has your more premium version, liquid cooled with a little bit more wattage, actually same wattage, right?
It depends on the model.
Okay.
But most of the time they are producing more power than the air cooled units.
Okay, because it's more efficient. I'm assuming, right?
It's a different engine, a little bit different technology, but it's one of the things. It's what Cullen does, right?
Yeah.
When he comes out to your home to decide, most consumers are like, hey, I want a generator. Well, we have to decide which one you need.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you may have an idea of what you want, and maybe that's correct, but the National Electrical Code dictates a formula that we have to abide by that will tell us what size generator you need. And so very rarely, but sometimes you have customers that it's just like, look, you need, according to the math, you can get a 26 kW air-cooled unit, and that'll run everything that you need. But some people feel that they want the bigger, and so therefore they'll pay the extra money to get the bigger. But we're never going to try to sell you something you don't need. We go by the math. It's a simple calculation. You do the math. It spits out what size generator you would need for your home, and then we let you know what those options are. And so going back to the ad that you were talking about there, we try to be clear. We like to advertise our pricing because, a lot of times, it's all over the place. People hear different things, have different expectations.
Right,
and so we certainly don't want people calling us expecting that they want to get a generator and it's $6,000. So we want to give them some idea of what this really costs.
Yeah.
And that is a turnkey price. The other thing is that, unfortunately, everybody's house is not exactly the same. It's all, and where you want to put the generator is not it's not always just right there, really, really close. And so we spell out for the price what you're getting for that. And so when we talk about straightforward pricing, we talk about normal installation. That is a generator on a 4-inch pad. But in some areas, maybe because of flood zone requirements or unleveled surfaces and things
you'll
like
need
that,
a lifted one.
Yeah, you have to put it on a stand, right? And so the stand does carry a different cost. But with our pricing structure, it's extract the pad, add the stand.
Yep.
It's this is the extra cost there.
And we're pretty upfront with it. It's $300 more, up to 21 inches on that aluminum stand. It's like, that is the pricing, and we don't deviate from that.
Right. And if, so let's say that you decided, hey, look, I like the generator could go right here, but this is next to my bedroom, and I really just don't want to hear the generator running. I would love it to go way in my backyard over here, in this corner. Absolutely. But we're going to have to charge to trench the gas and electrical lines over there. And so, now let's say that's 100 foot or 150 foot run.
Yeah.
That does change the price. But again, we're up front with all of that as to what the changes are, why you're having those, and what the cost would be. But once you enter into an agreement with us that this is what we're doing, it's what it is.
Yeah. So, what does this, going back to solar, because I'm playing devil's advocate here, what does a solar powered house with a battery cost versus what you guys have right here? And what are some of the obvious benefits that a whole home generator, I mean, that's power on demand right there. Like, I don't think you can get much better than that. When your electricity goes out, within 30 seconds, you have your electricity back on.
Yeah, sure.
With solar, obviously, you can't run, like, depending on the size battery you have, which most people probably don't want to pay for any battery much bigger than what it standard, because it's probably expensive, like you said. Yeah. You probably can't run a whole lot like your big AC. You probably can run a window unit, but some people can't even put window units because of HOAs and all that good stuff.
And we've installed the battery systems before, and so you'd have at least two like power walls before, and it does depend on the size ACs, but I mean, power wall units have to be at least $15,000 a piece, plus some of the ancillary equipment that goes with it.
Just the power wall?
Just the battery.
Wow.
Yeah. And so,
and then you get a whole generator for less than 15,000.
Yeah, I'm not up on the current pricing, but I imagine it hasn't deviated too much.
Yeah, because batteries are still expensive.
You're probably still $25,000 for a solar array plus the batteries. I mean, 30, 40, 60. I mean, it depends on how big of a system you start getting.
Right.
But for less than $13,000, I can provide a generator that runs everything.
Okay.
And so when you start doing the math, it just doesn't make sense. I wish it did, because listen, solar is cool.
Yeah, it is.
From a
like
nerd
you said, you're a nerd. Yeah,
it's cool.
I love solar,
and so I watch it.
I hate that it's politicized.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with tax incentives, that's just what happens.
And was it whenever the electric car? I don't want to call it a fad, because I mean it kind of is, but when Tesla, probably 10 years or so now, or maybe even longer, when Tesla was just coming to be mainstream, there was tax incentives. Like, I want to say it was like $20,000 tax incentive if you bought an electric car, a Tesla.
$7,500.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah,
I forget what it was. Yeah,
that's still in place.
It is okay.
Right. Now,
I don't know. I haven't done much research recently.
Yeah. Yeah, 75. I think it's a $7,500 EV tax credit.
Wow.
And so, and listen, I mean, I like tax credits. Trump actually stated before he got elected that if he got elected, that he would allow for a tax credit for the purchase of a home standby generator for any area that was affected by hurricanes. And so I'm watching. He hasn't done it yet. So Trump, if you're listening, you promised. But that would be fantastic for people in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Trump too much, because some people that watch may not like Trump. But let me tell you, he said a lot of things, and he's done a lot of things that he said he would do, which is wild. One of the things that is, it's kind of ridiculous, but also kind of funny, is the Gulf of Mexico turning into Gulf of America.
Right.
Like, that just makes me laugh. And obviously there are bigger issues in the world, but it really is pretty funny. And Google Maps
it's official now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Google Maps has a Gulf of America, and it's kind of wild. But yeah, if that tax credit comes through for the home standby generators, that is big. How much did you say the tax credit could potentially be? Or is there?
I believe it was basically a tax deduction.
Okay,
if I remember correctly, off of whatever your purchase price was for the unit. But any incentive like that is fantastic,
right?
But when you start building a business based off incentives, that's not a good format.
Which is solar.
Which is how the solar was, you know, and so a lot of that required it to make sense. The bigger factor there is not even the tax incentives. Like I said, it's the net metering. And because I do think there's still some federal things out there for solar, nothing on the state level, but it's what makes it a no-go is the net metering agreements.
Yeah, that aggravates me, because I mean, you would think that if I'm producing power from my home into the electrical grid, that it would be a dollar for dollar, exchange, like, hey, here's electricity back. And I mean, to see a nice discount on my electricity bill would be pretty cool. That's frustrating that it's not one for one.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, that seems like it'd be a nice benefit, but God. Anyway, so last night, my wife and I, we got this little ad in the mail, right, for you guys. And I was telling her, I'm like, oh yeah, I have them coming on the podcast tomorrow. And
she said, when are they coming to the house to give us
right. Look.
Is that what she said?
You know what's so funny? And then I'm not trying to promote Optimize intentionally here right now, but my wife probably a couple of months ago had mentioned that it would be cool to get a whole home generator, just in case the power would ever go out. And I'm like, yeah, but like those things can get up there in price and all that good stuff. I probably estimated in my head probably 15,000. That was I think that was my rough number, 10 to 15. And she was like, yeah, but I mean, there are times when I know whenever, what was it, Gustav back in the day, there were some people out of power for like 2 weeks. Yeah. And she was kind of fearful of that. And I'm like, I don't blame you. So in that discussion last night, talking about this, and she saw the price, she was like, well, definitely it'd be something to look forward to. We'd probably have to be obviously on a payment plan because we don't just have, the 13,000 to come up with, if that would be our price. But I decided, I was like, look, I know hurricane season's coming up, and to make sure that she's feeling somewhat safe, I said, let me see what Lowe's has as far as like portable generators. And I didn't even realize, but Generac has a little portable generator.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's not going to power your whole house, but it'll do a little bit. I think it was like 9,500 kilowatts. So like far less than half of what this would produce. And I know some of the portable generators can have a manual switch into your house. I don't know how all that works, but like perfect example of like, if somebody is on the fence of a whole home generator like this, that's fixed to your property versus a portable generator, which in a time of crisis, whenever people are like scrambling to buy a generator,
that's what you see happens. Right?
Yeah. They're rigging stuff up. Yeah. They're trying to get their stuff powered up.
And anytime a storm is coming, that's they roll those trucks out to all the different hardware stores to try to get the portable generators out there. I mean, portable generators obviously work, but like you said, they're limited in capacity, and so
extension cords all over the place.
There become some dangerous situations there. I mean, it never fails every year. Somebody
runs one in their garage or their house.
Yeah, right. and you see a fatality from carbon monoxide.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't mean to laugh. It's
right. I mean, it's just serious, right? Yeah. Because it's something that, again, it's one of those things. Everybody knows what a generator is, but they're pretty technical pieces of equipment. There's some dangers that are involved, and so what we find our customers really, they want the peace of mind. Yeah. That's what it's about. And so the home standby generators that we sell and install are they're automatic systems that you install them, you make sure that we're coming out to maintain them, and then you forget about it. And so, but I can tell you, anytime you hear, hey, it's about to snow in Louisiana. Hey, we have a hurricane coming in the Gulf.
Right.
There is a whole segment of your brain that is like calm, and that is, I mean, that is very, very important to have, right?
Yeah,
and so that's, I mean, this is an insurance policy, is what it is, and it's one that works, and so.
What's nice about this insurance policy is you can see it. You can see it on your property. Yeah, you know where your money's going.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of drivers. That is, being from South Louisiana, a generator is just as common as crawfish and jambalaya. You need to have a home standby generator. Yep. And so, but there are, nationally, there are a lot of drivers that we're seeing that are driving the home standby generator market. Ever since COVID happened, we see this kind of home as your shelter, hunker, mentality, where a lot more people are working from home. They're educating from home. Home is the fortress. And so you need reliable power if the grid fails, so that you can do the work that you're trying to do. And so we've seen a massive uptick in demand since that has happened. And then some of the other major drivers that are driving industry is that the national electrical grid, because of a lot of policies that have been in place over the past several years. The grid is just old. It's the oldest machine that is in America, and it's this hodgepodge network of wires and transformers and substations and all this kind of stuff it's just a mess. And it's just old. It's getting old. It's getting dilapidated. And as a lot of the power plants out there, like a lot of the old coal power plants, are reaching end of life, and they're bringing these offline, they're not rebuilding them. They're not, for political reasons or whatever. They're now resorting to solar, wind, other technologies that are not as I don't want to say reliable, but you can't, you just can't flip a switch and pull a certain demand out of it. At night, those solar panels are not creating any electricity.
Yeah, they're just dormant.
The wind is blowing when the wind decides it wants to blow, not necessarily when you have this, when South Louisiana has a winter storm and all this, everybody's cutting their heat on. I don't know. Maybe you have sunshine, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a wind, maybe you don't. And so that causes this. Basically, you have this decline in production of electricity throughout the United States, but you have this massive increase in demand. And so, we mentioned Tesla, and so the more people are using electric cars, the more a lot of these energy efficient technologies where they're saying, hey, don't use a gas furnace for heat, use this heat pump. And so it's now electrically, it requires electricity to heat. That just adds more demand to the grid. And so you have declining production, increased demand. And then, technology. Back in the 60s, they would wire a home and you'd end up with the main electrical service was rated at 60 amps. Right now they're 200 amps, and we're using every bit of it. But with that technology, they're building everywhere you turn around. They're building. That's just more electrical demand.
They're adding more draw on the grid.
Absolutely.
But not adding more production to the
right,
grid. Yeah.
Right. And then you have AI, fantastic technology, but man, AI consumes electricity. We've got a giant data center Meta is putting here in Louisiana. And so
where's it going, by the way? I know it's not.
It's in North Louisiana somewhere.
Okay.
I forget the parish. But
but it's huge.
Yeah. So throughout the United States, they're building, I think there's like 10 that are expected to come online this year. And so I'll probably get my numbers wrong, but when you look at the energy forecast, there's a Department of Energy does this. They typically like to keep about a 20% buffer on electricity production above what they forecast the usage to be. But I want to say it's over the next 5 years that drops down to 7% because the production just can't keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
And what does all that mean for you, the consumer? It means that your power is going to go out more frequently. And so it just makes it makes the case to where, look, we need this for our family. We need this because it's unreliable. We need something. We need to bank on ourselves, essentially, is what I'm saying. And so for all those reasons, we see this massive demand. But the number one that people think about are storms, right? And so,
because that's what we have here.
Yeah. And so it's a very interesting business because we have to, one of the unique things, it's kind of, when you're a big company, that can be viewed negative in some sense because people look at you as just like, well, you're just this big giant corporate entity or whatever.
Right.
And but for us, we view it as it gives us the ability to provide the better service because strategically our main hub is in Baton Rouge and we plant satellite locations, we call them our branches, about an hour and a half out. And so, And so our Scott branch, right? We can easily, if a storm, like I want to say there was a tornado or something that came through, maybe it was a spinoff of a hurricane
it was
a couple
pretty
years
recent,
ago that came and really hit the Lafayette area. And so the demand increased, and we were able to dispatch installers and service techs from our Baton Rouge branch over to assist. And so where a lot of your smaller companies are doing everything they can, we're able to just give them some support or inject support with our team members throughout wherever the demand is.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and I mentioned earlier, it gives us a lot more experience as well because we see so much. But these are all what we consider strengths of Optimize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cullen, you haven't said a whole lot. You're like a little cheerleader over there.
He's saying everything that I would say.
Obviously. Cullen, I want to give you a second to have a little bit of the floor. Since you're a salesperson, you're probably going to be one of the faces that a lot of people see, especially in the area of Lafayette. And you're a Lafayette local. Yeah. I go to the same church as you. So for those that are wondering, I know Cullen pretty well, not like super personally, but well enough to know that I know you sing good. I do camera production at church, and a lot of times I'm zoomed in right on his mug. I'm like, please don't fail me, man. Just stay doing good. But whenever you go out to, I guess, sell, people have this aversion to salespeople. Yeah. Do you go door to door, or how do you approach a home?
Yeah.
I mean, do you cold call? You probably do.
No, we don't actually don't cold call. We only go to people that want to see us. Okay. Right? We do have a process for that. Like they'll contact us through our website or call us, and they'll get to talk to Brianna, who's our sales support, and she's going to just give you a little bit to make sure it is a good, smart move for that person. Yeah. And if they like it, we're going to go ahead and schedule me to come out. We usually take about an hour and 15 minutes. I'll show up and do what I need to do to look at everything, to find the perfect placement for it.
You have your tape measure out and all that?
I got my tape measure. I got all my tools ready to go. The point is to find a safe place for that generator and to make sure it's the right size. And also to see what options, depending on the house, right? Whether it's HOAs that are restricting us or it doesn't look as pretty in the front, right? We want to put it in the back, whatever it may be. I'm there to find out what needs to be done to make it something that lasts with the house. Like the generator, if it's maintained well, can last about 20 years.
I was going to ask that, what was the lifespan? Because, it has an engine in it, has oil changes. Yeah. Some of them have radiators with the liquid cooling system. I mean, that seems like a piece of equipment that almost like a car needs to be checked and maintained.
Absolutely must maintain them. But I mean, they come with warranties up to 10 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, but with, it's like your car, your warranty may end at 30,000 miles, but that doesn't mean the car is done.
Yeah, no. Right.
And so
with fingers crossed, it's not.
Right. If you take care of it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, obviously.
They are machines.
Yeah.
Generac, the brand, is the largest home standby generator brand, on the market. They've got 80% of the market.
Yeah, I mean, Generac is
everywhere.
And so that means, if you've got 100 generators, 80 of them are Generac. And so if you have a problem, it might be that you had a problem with the Generac. And so the problem is that, or the issue is that it could be an installation problem. It could be a mechanical problem. They are machines made by humans, right? Yeah. And so one of the great things about Optimize, though, is that we're very responsive. Our service and maintenance team, they're phenomenal. And those guys, I mean, they have a same day, next day policy. And so if you call the office and you have a problem, someone's going to be there that day. If not, the next day. Yeah. And they do a little bit of triaging to see what's going on in emergency situations. But it's one of the things, like I said, that we pride ourselves on is that if something does break, we can get it fixed. We can get it repaired. We can get you back up and running as quickly as possible.
Do you guys have is there a repair subscription or whatever you want to call it? Or does it come with
We have a once a year contract where we come out for $299 on air cooled generators to do oil filter,
$299
spark. $299, and that's on the air cooleds. Liquid cooleds are a little bit different because there is more involved with them. But most homes fit on the air cooled generator. But we are doing that, like changing the oil filter, air filter, spark plugs, checking the valves, checking the battery,
just like a car.
Unit. It really is, and a part of that is to help make sure the warranty, when you get if you try to buy a 10-year warranty, someone has to maintain it.
Right.
That's why we offer that service, right?
Okay.
Anyone can change their oil, of course, but we offer that peace of mind, like not only the generator, but with the service behind it. That's our goal. And that's all conveyed when we do that appointment, when I come out there and not only find a place to put it, but also conveying. I'm really educating. I'm not really selling anything. I'm really educating. And
I mean, honestly, that's what a good salesperson does, is educate and tell you what you need for as a solution. Yeah.
Well, like Cullen said, I mean, we're not cold calling. We're not showing up at your house.
Okay, that's good. So you're not door knocking in the neighborhood.
No.
You called us for a reason.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to educate. I mean, you need to know. You need to understand. And like I keep saying, it's very complicated. And so just even like the maintenance of the generator, it's not just an oil change.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of people can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's valves that typically need to be adjusted. There's electrical checks that need to be done.
Oh,
There are
man.
some things that, they're firmware updates sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so there are a lot of more advanced things that happen. It's easy just to kind of dumb it down to, hey, it's an oil change, spark plugs, and air filter.
Yeah.
That's not a true maintenance of your unit. And look, you paid a lot of money for this thing. You want it to work when you need it.
Oh yeah.
And so, it's a fantastic value to have us take care of the unit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess one of my last questions is, so I know with a portable generator that I was looking at Lowe's, just kind of price comparing and seeing like, if we were not able to do this year type of thing as a buyer, if we looked at a portable unit, I know portable units, you have maybe a 7-gallon tank, if that, depending on what size you get. And that'll run you about 10, 12 hours, depending on how much power you're drawing from it, probably a little less. And when people try to strain it, and I know during a situation like a hurricane, or a big national disaster or a regional disaster, gasoline or whatever is limited. Sometimes they run out.
You ever stood at a gas station?
Right. Look, during a hurricane, man, there was this one time, this is like a complete tangent from what we're truly talking about, but I saw this video of a guy, I don't know what state, it had to have been a Gulf state, because this was the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. He lined the bed of his truck with visqueen, plastic wrap, putting gasoline in the back of the truck. I'm like,
not advised.
Oh, and it like there was drip, like it was as bad. And so people do dumb things during the thing. So I couldn't imagine trying to have enough gas on hand to last me what I would consider a catastrophic outage of a week or two. Sure. Like that's pretty bad.
Yeah, and maintaining gas, even so after the storm, you've got this unit, carburetors jam. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that people choose to opt to go from the portable. I mean, a portable's great if you have nothing. Yeah. But this is a completely different engineered solution. And like I said, you don't have to battle the gas stations. You have the peace of mind. It'll power everything in the home. But even for our service crews, like we understand that the gas station is a problem during a storm. And so, matter of fact, all of our locations, we have big 3,000 gallon gas tanks. That's how our teams fuel up every day, so that we don't have to mess with that in these emergency situations. Because in the early days, we had those issues. A storm would come through, we'd try to respond, and our technicians are stuck in a line at a gas station so that they could fill up their service truck to try to get to you. And so, a lot of those.
That's a real issue. Yeah,
there's just a lot of little nuances that we feel like we've either had bad experiences with and had to come up with a good solution to fix it, that just make us a really great choice to go with.
So with that, what I was mentioning with the gas and having to battle the gas stations and all that, how long can a whole home generator what you guys install last while running? Let's say I'm out of power. The outage is a 2-week outage. That's pretty bad outage. Can that sucker run for 2 weeks?
You want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple things we tell them at this when I meet people. I tell them this, right? The main two things is that yes, it can run for a very, very long time, but you got to check the oil after 2 or 3 days of constant running. That's what we suggest, and then after 8 days, that's when it needs the oil change. As long as that's being done, it can run for months. We saw in Lake Charles, right? They were out for a month. Some of them ran that long. And they can do it.
Okay, yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, so I mean,
it's 200 run hours before you have to do the actual oil change. Okay. And like Cullen said, we do fine because, these units, they are designed. There's all kind of misinformation when it comes to generators. These things, especially in an air-cooled unit, you don't have to stop it to let it cool down. It's what it's designed to do. The thing, as it's running, it has fans. It's sucking air over it. Don't lift the lid. You're supposed to keep the lid closed so that it can.
Oh, so you have people trying to.
Oh yeah, but you hear all kind of things like, you need to shut it off. You need to lift the lid. You need to let it cool down. No, that's not the way it works. It's an engineered piece of machinery that's designed to be closed. It sucks air from one side, passes it over the running engine, and expels it the other direction. And so, but it is a high heat functioning engine. Yeah. And so it will burn through a little bit of oil. And so we find that about every third day, you do want to stop it. You want to let it cool down so that you could check the oil, and you may need to add just a smidgen. You're just add in a little bit. And so let's say that you're elderly or can't get out there. It's okay. The generator's not going to tear up. This thing, if it ran, so let's say that you couldn't get out there and you just let it go, it'll shut itself off if the oil level gets too low and protect itself. And so you'll end up with this error code 1300 and you'll be calling.
Yeah, like, I don't have power,
And that's typically what you'll find. Okay. It's just like, you need to add a little bit of oil. And so, but like I said, they're very complicated pieces of machinery, and the installation of them is complicated in the sense of there's so many moving parts that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to a home standby generator. And so we have to interact with your utility company. We have to coordinate with the electrical provider because we're going to be tying into your electrical system. We have to coordinate with your gas provider or propane provider because in order to, when you install a home standby generator, you absolutely have to get your gas system upgraded. The way the gas systems are designed is when they build your house, they calculate, how many fuel-fired appliances do I have in this home, and I'm going to give you a gas system designed to deliver that much gas. Well, when you take and you install a home standby generator, you're at least, a lot of times you're adding more load with that generator than your whole house has by itself. Right. And so it's an absolute must that you upgrade that system and get a larger gas meter and a lot of times even getting a higher pressure gas system. Mm-hmm. And so we facilitate all that through the local utilities. And so a lot of guys, if anybody's ever coming out there just saying, we could just tap onto this line, that's absolutely not allowed. It's your generator's not going to function properly.
Okay, man. I think this is fascinating. I was like, this episode is probably going to be short and sweet. And I was like, I wonder if it's going to come across very, very salesy. And it was not. It, like you guys said, is a very educational thing because there were some things that I had questions myself, and I may be a potential future customer of it because there's one of those things where the more hurricanes that we have, more power outages that we may have. I mean, it's a real thing that we're looking at. So, Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming in.
Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. No, that's definitely not a Valentine's gift. Look, there's no way that I could say, oh yeah, this is your Valentine. Whenever I probably didn't spend that much on our my wife's upgraded wedding ring, so I'm not. Yeah. Oh, you can't wear this, but it'll keep the lights on so you can see what you're wearing, selling myself here. But I'll be a future customer at some point. So I'm definitely this will probably be old and tattered in my closet whenever I come to do it, because I'll probably be moving it around and continue to see it. But for those that are listening, I mean, if you've been thinking about getting a whole home generator, this is the company to do it with. I mean,
well, and now is the time. And let me tell you why. Generators become top of mind during hurricane season.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody flocks to get them. I can't tell you how many times a year we get calls and they're like, hey, people expect it to be installed in a week or 2 weeks. We literally, and during the summertime, it may be 6 weeks before we could get to you to install your generator. It may be 4 weeks before Cullen could even make it out to your house to give you a quote.
Just because of the demand.
So the demand we call it a head and shoulder season.
Yeah.
Because in the spring and in the fall, it's the shoulder, and then you have this massive spike in the middle where people want it. And so we're staffed up to try to handle the load. But if you could get in there, and you got to think, it's not just Optimize that is busy. Every utility company from every generator installer is getting more requests, and they have more workload.
yeah.
Every gas company, from the ones that are doing it correctly, that are asking for those upgrades, they get delayed. And so
it's a trickle down effect from it.
This is massive trickle down effect. And so, and we want for a great experience for our customer, and so one of the other differentiators that we touched on briefly, and I think it's really important, is that we only ask for a $600 down payment. And so everybody has had a bad experience with a contractor.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we understand that. And so we know that when you hire us to do this job, we're working on a relationship. And so we try to start that off with trust. We ask for $600 simply to cover all the permitting fees. But we're going to send our crew out there on the date of the install. We're going to do the complete install for you. We're going to supply the generator. We're going to do everything. We're going to coordinate with the permit department. We're going to have them come do the inspections. We're going to have the utilities do the part that they have to. And sometimes, especially in the summer, it may be 4 weeks after the install is done before the gas company will come out there and do the upgrade. But we're not going to ask for any money until that's done. We can test the system and make sure that it works, because we don't want any time during that process the consumer to feel like, man, I'm waiting. I'm already frustrated because I want my thing to work, but I gave these guys this money and it's not important to them. And so we want to make sure that we're aligned with the same goal, that our goal is to get your project complete, finished. You're happy with it before you hand us a check. And so we believe that that's very unique, because from my experience, what I hear, most other companies are asking at least 50% down. And so they're asking you to give them a $6,000-$7,000 dollar check, and they haven't done anything. And so, like I said, we think that's a big deal.
Yep. No, I think that's great. I mean, $600, for some people it is a smaller little chunk, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if the power goes out, you're gonna be like, man, I'm glad I did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, guys, man, I'm excited to have you guys, first of all, as a sponsor. I do appreciate that, and to have talked about this, because I feel like this is something that not only just my family, but I'm pretty sure there have been tons of people that have thought about it, but we're on the fence. Yep. And hopefully this helps somebody kind of swing off the side of the fence and be like, I'm going to do it, because like you said, it could be.
It's not getting any better.
Right.
No, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's just not getting any better. As much as I wish politics didn't play a role, they do. And so
they do.
And it's one of those things that it's kind of a way to bet on yourself and to protect your family. And so that does bring joy for us to be able to do that we know that we have this positive effect on so many communities here in Louisiana. And so we love what we do.
Yeah, I can tell. You guys are like your words. You're a big nerd. Yeah. And I can tell, man, you know everything. Cullen, I know you know everything too, but
I learned from him.
Look, with that, man, I think this is it. I appreciate you guys coming on, talking about
something
it.
Real
quick.
Go
ahead.
That we are transitioning our website, so it's now optimizegp.com.
Okay.
There's a lot more information on that website.
Is it live?
Yeah, it's live.
Okay,
now.
I'll update.
But I'm just letting you know that old site's still there, but the new site has more information if you're wanting to look look into us.
Okay, cool. Well, good to note. Because I have the other one up, and I was like, oh yeah, looks good. I'll use that because it looked current. But if you guys got a new one, I'm obviously going to lead people to the new one.
Yeah, optimize generator people. So optimizegp.com.
That's a lot easier because the current one has optimize EGS and there's like EE.
Yeah. Everybody's like, what is this egg? What are you selling here? And so it was energy generating services.
Yeah,
because we were transitioning from doing solar and who knows? We watch the technologies, and maybe in 10 years we're doing fuel cells or something. But that's we provide energy solutions for homeowners, and so. But right now it's Generac generators, and
that's what we do.
We know them.
Yeah. No, I'm front and back. Hey, I love it. I think it's a fascinating piece of equipment and one that keeps you nice and comfortable. Keeps your deer meat, if you're a hunter, keeps all that nice and cold and frozen, and you don't have to have all the spoiled meat during a catastrophic hurricane outage, because that happen. I feel like it happens every year. And then Texas had a big thing a few years back where the grid just failed because of the
ice storm.
The ice storm, yeah. That was wild, and that was a wake up call for Texas's grid system.
Yep.
So, and that can happen anywhere, really. We just had a blizzard a couple of weeks ago. in South Louisiana.
Exactly.
So
and, the grid did fairly well during here.
Yeah, we actually did. Yeah,
I was watching it, and so, but it's just to say that we can't predict what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can tell you pretty much with certainty that you're going to lose power at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, if you value peace of mind, if you value your deer meat, if you value the not having to stand at the gas station, if you value not having to go find a hotel somewhere, just to be able to just not worry, or to when one of these major events is about to happen, that it's coming, you can focus on other things and not have to worry about that part of the equation.
Right. Before we go, the last thing, and I'm not going to say this because my wife is going to be like, why did you say that? Just going to leave that as, okay, never mind. Cut that part out. I can't. I'm going to keep that part to myself. Kelly, if you're listening, thank me later. Anyway, nothing obviously bad about anything. Yeah. It's just the benefit of having one of these, there would have been a side effect, and I can't go any deeper than that. So this is live. I can't cut that out. So it is what it is. But thank you guys for coming on and talking generator.
Thanks for having us.
The generator people, guys, man. Y'all have a great weekend. Oh, a great weekend. I do these on Friday normally. This is Wednesday.
Sure.
My week is all thrown off because my kid's out of school tomorrow. So it feels like a Friday. It's just weird because I'm doing a podcast. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week. And I can't wait to hear about what people listen to with this, and then let me know about it and all that good stuff. So there's going to be a lot more, I'm sure, to come with questions. And I look forward to seeing how you guys do and continuing to work with you guys. I know we're doing some more stuff, so be on the lookout. You're going to see a lot more videos, guys, about them and some posts. So with that, y'all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Yep,
all right.
Thank you.
And that is it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.